Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, it's one of those videos, one of my favorite kind of videos. We're doing an epic flashback today. The same title and thumbnail that we usually do for these videos, X-year-old video found. And guess what? The conclusion of this flashback is, once again. Wow, some really surprising stuff. Donald Trump was right once again. Pretty much as per usual. Except this time I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. I think something possibly sinister is being exposed here. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so let's first start off with the flashback clip. Here's Donald Trump speaking multiple years ago on the issue of Joe Biden's botched Afghanistan withdrawal and Donald Trump's interactions with Mr. Mark Milley.
You got a $50 million airplane, you got a $29 million gorgeous helicopter. We had every type of helicopter, many of them brand new, literally out of the box, $70 million planes. You mean you think it's cheaper to leave it there so they can have it than it is to fill it up with a half a tank of gas and fly it into Pakistan or fly it back to our country? You think, yes sir, we think it's cheaper, sir. That's when I realized it was a
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Ah, what an infamous clip. What an absolutely beautiful clip. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "Milley said it'd be cheaper to leave all of our equipment behind in Afghanistan instead of flying it back. That's when I knew he was an effing idiot." So this gives us some insight into Donald Trump's interactions with Mark Milley. Of course, the lefties are going to claim Donald Trump's a liar. He always lies. He's probably lying. Yeah, I'm going to take Donald Trump's word instead of lying Mark Milley, you know, the guy who lied about his ridiculous request to invade Iran, pinning the whole thing on Donald Trump, when eventually documents revealed that the exact opposite was true and that actually Donald Trump was the one trying to stop a war and Mark Milley was the one trying to start a war. I'm going to take Donald Trump's word here because Mark Milley has a track record. Some people want to claim that it's a track record of stupidity and incompetence. It's just cheaper to leave American military equipment in Afghanistan for the Taliban than it is to fly it back home. Let's just leave it there. It sounds stupid, and that's because it is, but it's not stupid because it's literally part of the plan. This is what they do. Mark Milley said this during an interview once.
General Milley did tell us he was so disillusioned with the former president's actions, he nearly resigned. Instead, according to former Defense Secretary Mark Esper, he and the general made a pact to protect the military from becoming politicized or misused.
It's also been reported that you spent several days, several drafts of resignation letters.
That's right.
I was very struck by the one that was published, in which you said to the president, "It is my deeply held belief that you are ruining the international order, causing significant damage to our country overseas that was fought so hard by the greatest generation in 1945. But that's one thing to say that China is threatening that world order and Russia is threatening that world order. To say that the commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, was ruining the international order and causing significant damage. What did you see that caused you to write that?
I would say
It's got
that
to be more than walking into Lafayette Square in uniform.
there was a wide variety of initiatives that were ongoing. One of them, of course, was withdrawing troops out of NATO. Those were initiatives that placed at risk, I think, America's role in the world. Now,
He claimed that Donald Trump was, quote, ruining the international order. Some argue that generals like Mark Milley prefer militaristic approaches to diplomacy. Yeah, if that's the international order that Donald Trump was ruining, then Donald Trump deserves the frickin' Nobel Peace Prize. Let's be real, he absolutely does. Barack Obama's ridiculous, phony Nobel Peace Prize should be stripped away from him and handed to Trump. You have this clown Mark Milley who wants nothing more than to be a great war general. He wants his legacy to be one of conquering, invading, and winning decade-long battles. He spent 4 years trying to lobby Trump into starting another global conflict. In fact, he seems so addicted to conflict that when Donald Trump was drafting his plan to remove US troops from Afghanistan, he was the one again lobbying and suggesting that American weapons be left behind. I wonder why. Probably because there seems to be some sort of corrupt interest to continue arming our enemies so they can further justify more military action and possible future invasion indefinitely. That's how I feel about this. And so it's no surprise why we constantly have these clips that seem to constantly vindicate Donald Trump, or seem to portray him as some sort of all-knowing clairvoyant, seeing into the future and predicting the future before it happens. It's not because Donald Trump is some sort of mega brain genius. It's because Donald Trump's the first, somewhat honest politician, and especially president, a man who got into office with the intent of serving American citizens and national interest, rather than advance the interest of the unelected global regime. Here's another example. Donald Trump tweeted this more than a month ago. Can you believe that crooked Joe Biden is giving $6 billion to the terrorist regime in Iran? That money will be used for terrorism all over the Middle East and indeed the world. This incompetent fool is absolutely destroying America. He had the audacity to announce this terrible deal today, September 11th. To pay for hostages will lead to kidnapping, ransom, and blackmail against Americans across the globe. I freed many dozens of our people from various unfriendly countries and never paid a dime. Because Trump, of course, was willing to use American power and American leverage on the global stage to get what he wanted. In other words, the art of the deal. But it's not even this fancy art of the deal, this Trump genius strategy again. It's just that Donald Trump was actually representing national interest and American interest, and he was willing to do the right thing and pull the right levers to get the job done, where Joe Biden and the rest of these status quo Washington politicians constantly seem unwilling to actually use American strength on the world stage to achieve diplomatic ends or diplomatic results. It cannot be classified as incompetence. Mark Milley is not incompetent. Joe Biden may be incompetent, but the people who are standing behind Joe Biden, moving him like a puppet, are certainly not incompetent. The worst thing that you could do in any type of conflict is underestimate your opponent. I don't believe any of this is incompetence. I don't believe they're just stupid and just accidentally keep doing things that accidentally ends up backfiring and getting us in trouble every single decade. No, I think it's by design. It's purposeful. Joe Biden and Mark Milley, in my view, purposefully left billions of dollars of weapons back in Afghanistan. They purposefully unfroze $6 billion for the Iranian regime to then, let's call it, have the fiscal freedom to fund, organize, and orchestrate horrible terrorist attacks across the globe. This is why it was so imperative for them to get Donald Trump out of office, because he was standing in their way. Again, I'm going to say it like a damn broken record. It's no surprise that there was no new wars or no massive global conflict during the 4 years of Trump's administration. It's no surprise that the moment Joe Biden took office, 2 large-scale wars spawn across the globe. Jordan Peterson on Twitter, I think, really put it together nicely. He wrote, Iran fomented this war to turn Arab public opinion against Israel so that Saudi Arabia would not sign the Abraham Accords brokered by Donald Trump. The Saudis would have signed 2 years ago, but Joe Biden and the Democrats alienated them instead because they didn't want Trump to accrue the credit that he was truly due for his attempts to bring peace to the Middle East. It's absolutely obvious for all those who are willing to see it. It's all going perfectly according to plan. It's all part of their plan. And most likely, what do you think's the next step? Well, considering the southern border is wide open, probably what's next is an attack on American soil, which is going to be very quickly followed up with a full-scale propaganda campaign in an effort to declare war. Get ready, folks. The globalists are in charge, and it's really no surprise where that path leads. War, instability, chaos, tragedy, and suffering by design. That's what I got for you guys on this one, though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.